hands with Jim Newcomb, the man he'll be jumping against. And Beck at 6'7" will have 2 inches height advantage for the start of the ball game as we now are ready to go. With the tap going to Krigler, but knocked away and taken by Bucky Allen of Duke. Holds on to it in front court for the Blue Devils. Duke goes into its offensive pattern now, with Robertson giving off to Allen as they go into a 5-man weave. Out on the top rim of the circle, pulling up is a fake for it, but Boyd, and then an outside shot. Good by Newcomb of Duke. It puts the Blue Devils out in front by 2-0. First time they get the ball. Krigler in front court to Beck. Outside to Hatton, who moves down the right side. Gives to Krigler, out to Adrian Smith. Back out front to Hatton, who moves it over to the left. Down the side, the officials tonight are George Conley and Leonard Toth. Here's Beck to Cox, and a 20-foot jump shot, no good. Rebounding Duke. As it's pulled in, Johnny Cox fouls from the rear. First personal foul of the ball game is against Johnny Cox. And here you will see the new rule put into effect. There is only one personal foul on the first 6 personals against each team. And so Duke's Jerry Robertson goes to the free throw line for 1 try. On the Duke free throw line, Robertson sights for 1 try, and it's good. And so Duke is out in front by a score of 3-0. Here's a steal as Kentucky gets the ball as it's pulled away by Duke Schmidt from Krigler. And up into front court under the basket, Newcomb shoots wide open and misses. Pumped up by Robertson, no good. Rebounded by Beck. He drops it. Krigler picks it up and moves in front court. A 4-2 break. Hatton 10 feet to the right, goes for the basket, has it taken away from him, picks it up, and here's a jump shot, no good. Tapped straight up in the air by Beck, no good, and Duke's got it with a 3-0 lead still on the board. Johnny Cox steals and is fouled as he jumps to shoot. Johnny Cox on a steal from Jack Boyd in the Duke lineup is fouled by Boyd as he tried to retake it. Boyd, a sophomore from Baden, Pennsylvania, is only 19 years old, 5'11", weighs 175. Johnny Cox on the free throw line for Kentucky will try 1 shot. Duke leading 3-0 as Cox's free throw good. Makes it a 3-1 ball game as the Wildcats went 1 minute 11 seconds without a point. Up in the front court now is Bucky Allen. Hands off and a foul against Kentucky's Adrian. Nope, check us. Bucky Allen for charging. The Duke guard, 6'2", driving in against Adrian Smith, was called for charging. It's the 2nd straight personal against Duke. And number 50, Adrian Smith, steps to the free throw line. Many of your Kentucky basketball players are wearing different numbers this year because of the new rule, which forbids a player to wear any number higher than 5. The free throw good by Smith, and it's a 3-2 ball game as the Cats move within 1 point of the Blue Devils. Bucky Allen in front court passes to Boyd and hands it to him, still deep and to the right. He moves back to the top rim of the circle, gives off to Robertson, who moves to the right. Hands, and Boyd stumbles down the middle, but gives off on a back block, and a foul against Johnny Cox trying to block the shot. For Johnny Cox, personal foul number 2. On the free throw line for Duke is Paul Schmidt, the 6'5" center. He's got 2 coming. First 2-shot foul of the game. First shot good, and Duke is back in front by 2 points. Capacity crowd here at the Coliseum in Lexington tonight. Second shot good, and Duke has another 3-point lead. Up in front court, Vernon Hatton walks with it, and it's out of bounds to Duke as Kentucky is very ragged here in the early going. Bucky Allen passes into Boyd. Bob Cox points out 500 still outside, trying to get in to see this opening ball game of the season. As we go to the attack with Duke's Robertson from 20 feet, missing. Up beautiful for the rebound is Johnny Cox. It's taken away from him and knocked out of bounds. Goes to Duke. Over the baseline to the left of their basket. Pass comes back in deep. Jack Boyd's got it. Moves to the top rim of the circle. Flips out to Bucky Allen. Fakes. Can't get a shot away as Hatton covers up on him. Flips one out deep to Robertson, and now back over to Allen as Duke sets it up once again. Back over to Allen now. Fakes Hatton, drives right down the middle and lays it up. No good. Ed Beck rebounds, and a foul is called on Duke. Paul Schmidt drawing his first personal. And so Kentucky still looks for that first field goal. Duke has completely dominated play. The Wildcats have had but 1 good shot at the basket. Ed Beck's on the free throw line for 1 try. 2 of these 3 personal fouls against Duke have been committed in their front court as Beck's free throw is way short. Cox was in the lane too soon, and he goes out of bounds to Duke. Score still 5-2 for the Blue Devils. Bucky Allen moving up in front court. Down the left side, hands off to Jerry Robertson. And Duke tonight's not at full strength. Bob Licata is hurt. Here's a fake by Newcomb, and Krigler fouled him from the rear. Chekas, he did not make the contact necessary, batted it away, and it goes over to Duke to the right of the basket. Newcomb, the big gun in beating Kentucky last year, passes in, and a hook good by Schmidt. That's the second field goal of the ball game as Duke takes its longest lead, 7-2. Adrian Smith in front court over to Hatton. Duke in a very aggressive man-to-man defense is back from 15 feet, misses. Tap to the outside, Adrian Smith got it for Kentucky. Moves over to the top rim of the circle, passes to Krigler on the right side. He fakes, breaks, hooks it back, and it's good. So John Krigler took matters in his own hand, and Kentucky finally gets a field goal after 3 minutes and 18 seconds of play. It's a 7-4 score for Duke as Allen fakes Hatton clear out of position and lays it up, but it's no good. Beck takes it off, fires to Krigler, moving in front court. A 3-3 break, he pulls up, feeds Hatton, who's wide open, and got it. Vernon Hatton sacking up his first field goal of the season, pulls Kentucky back within 1 point of Duke. The Cats have not yet been able to get on even terms since the scoreless ball game was broken. Now here's a foul call as driving into the basket, another charging foul on Jack Boyd of Duke. His second personal, and the fourth one against the Blue Devils. Both fouls against the sophomore guard have been for charging. Boyd started in the place of Bobby Joe Harris, a senior who held the job last year. Adrian Smith is on the Kentucky free throw line. He owns 1 point so far in this game. His free throw's good. And for the first time, Kentucky has it tied up. 7-7, 16 minutes and 10 seconds here in the first half. Now Duke goes back to the attack. Bucky Allen hands off out deep to Robertson, moving down the left side. Passes into Schmidt, or Newcomb. Fakes Krigler, lays it up. No good. Duke missing in under the basket. Newcomb missed a good rebound. And Cox takes it off for Kentucky. Shoots it up to Hatton near the dividing line and moves on into front court. Top rim of the circle. Pulls up. 15-foot jump shots. Good. Vernon Hatton is the first man for either team to get 2 field goals. And for the first time, Kentucky leads. 5 straight points have put him on top as driving Schmidt has it blocked by Beck with a foul called at the baseline. Personal foul against Ed Beck is his first one. On the Duke free throw line is Paul Schmidt. Schmidt will take 1 shot. 15 minutes and 35 seconds here in the first half at the Coliseum in Lexington. Free throw, no good. Bounces off to the side, tipped over the head of Hatton and out of bounds to Duke. Bucky Allen will put it in play on the left side of the offensive court. Passes out deep to Boyd, the sophomore, and takes a return bounce pass as Duke has it overloaded to the left at the moment. Now moving to the right off of a screen against Adrian Smith. Allen drives for the basket and lays it in, but it's nullified by an earlier foul on Adrian Smith of Kentucky, his first personal. And so now each team has committed 4 personal fouls, and each team has picked up 3 points on the free throw line as Duke's Bucky Allen steps in for 1 try. Here's his free throw, good. And Duke trails by a single point at 9-8. In front court, Hatton whips a high one to Krigler, so high he can't even touch it. And it's out of bounds to Duke. Jack Boyd passing in, and Bucky Allen mows up over the dividing stripe. Flips over to the left now to Jerry Robertson. Robertson moves out deep, hands to Boyd, who holds it high above his head, spinning it on the palms of his hands. Whips in, and Newcomb hooks, no good. Beck taps it up on the boards, no good. Schmidt takes it off and lays it in. That's the second field goal by Schmidt, and Duke leads 10-9 as Johnny Cox steps out of bounds up to the midcourt stripe with the ball and goes right back to Duke. Incoming passes to Bucky Allen as Duke is on top with a run of 3 points at 10-9. Allen setting him up the way he wants him as we've played 5.5 minutes in this opening game of the season. Down in the left corner to Newcomb, whips in, Boyd wide open, missed it, and Beck rebounds for Kentucky. Flips it out to Adrian Smith as the Cats try to run. Here's Hatton from 5 feet, got it. The third field goal of the game for Vernon Hatton puts Kentucky back in front, 11-10. All clubs banging away at each other on even terms now after 6 minutes of play. Bucky Allen of Duke, 20 feet to the right, a head fake and a drive to the free throw line. Hands off to Boyd, who backs away from a screen. He moves to the right, double switch, and the jump shot, no good, in and out. Beautiful tap by Schmitz over the rim and taken off by Krigler of Kentucky. Pulls up in backcourt, feeds to Hatton, who moves over the midcourt stripe to set the attack, overloaded to the right. gives to Adrian Smith, pumps to Beck at the free throw line pivot, back to Hatton, breaks off the weak side to the baseline, and a whistle. A foul against Duke's Jack Boyd, his third one. And here's a timeout by Duke, their first timeout of the ball game. Well, Newcomb from 25 feet put Duke on top 2-0, and Robertson fouled, but Cox dropped in the free throw to give the Blue Devils a 3-0 edge. Then Cox dropped in a free throw as he was fouled by Boyd, and Adrian Smith picked up free throws as he was fouled by Allen. However, Duke Schmidt, after a foul by Cox, made it 4-2, 5-2 as he hit the second shot. Then Beck, fouled by Schmidt, got a free throw but missed it, and it was a 5-2 ball game. Then Schmidt with a hook shot after 3 minutes of play made it a 7-2 Duke lead. Then Kentucky began to work for the first time. Krigler hit a shot from underneath the basket. Hatton went under to hook one in. Adrian Smith dropped in a free throw and tied it up 7-7 before Hatton hit a jump shot to give Kentucky its first lead at 9-7. Then Schmidt, fouled by Beck, missed, and Allen, fouled by Smith, hit. Then a lay-in by Schmidt made it 10-9, and now the jump shot by Hatton makes it 11-10. A lot of football news around the nation today, too. We'll have a lot of it for you. We'd like especially right now to welcome two newcomers to the Standard Oil Sports Network, WOMI out in Owensboro, WHOP in Hopkinsville. As Vernon Hatton makes his first appearance at the free throw line this season, a good one. And Kentucky leads 12-10 with 13 minutes and 40 seconds in this first half. Bucky Allen in front court for Duke now. They're behind 2 points. Passing deep to Robertson, who stays to the left side, which is strong. Into the pivot to Newcomb, fakes a hook and walks with it. With his momentum carrying him to the left, Newcomb tried to come back sharply to the right and in under the arms of the guarding John Krigler, but he dragged his pivot foot. And so Hatton moves up in front court for Kentucky with Beck on a free throw line high pivot. Over to Smith, back to Hatton. Krigler goes in along the baseline. Hatton gives over to Beck at the free throw line, breaks by, but the handoff is to Cox, and from 20 feet he got it. Johnny Cox with his first field goal gives Kentucky its longest lead of the game as Bobby Joe Harris comes off the Duke bench. Schmidt drives on Beck and has it knocked away, picked up by Hatton for a 3-3 break with Smith and Cox. He pulls up at the top of the circle, feeds Cox to the right, back to Hatton, in the pivot to Beck, out to Krigler, back to Hatton. Hatton over to Adrian Smith, moves to the left, backs away and feeds Hatton. Hatton feeds back in the pivot, over to Cox. Cox moves to the right, goes for the basket, up, nope, can't get a shot out and passes to Smith. From 25 feet he misses. Duke rebounds as it's pulled in by Robertson, over to Newcomb, and up the way to Bucky Allen moving in front court. He fakes Hatton, drives for the basket, lays it up, no good. Beautiful tap on the side by Newcomb, we believe, or Schmidt. Third field goal by Paul Schmidt, and it's a 14-12 lead for Kentucky. High pass goes to Beck, hands off to Adrian Smith at the top of the circle. From 15 feet, he has his shot blocked beautifully by Newcomb, picked up by Bucky Allen, and a collision and a foul against Adrian Smith of Kentucky, his second personal. And into the Duke lineup now, Bobby Joe Harris. Going out of the lineup is sophomore Jack Boyd, who committed 3 personal fouls. 12 minutes, 13 seconds here in the first half of action. Bucky Allen on the Duke free throw line for 1 try. Duke defensing the fast break of Kentucky with Harris and Robertson. As Allen's free throw, good. Kentucky's lead now 14-13. 4-point lead has dwindled to 1 as Hatton moves in front court for the Wildcats. Adrian Smith being called by Hatton to come out. He gives to him and the pivot to Beck. Both guards go by. Beck spins. Jump shot, no good. Hits off the front of the rim and Smith picks it up. Moves off and a 20-foot jump shot's good. Adrian Smith gets his first field goal and Kentucky opens the margin to 3 points at 16-13 with Harris in front court. Fakes Smith and a foul is called against him. Adrian Smith drawing his third one. Coach Adolph Rupp looks to the scores table to see that is 3 personal fouls against Adrian Smith. And that is 6 personal fouls against Kentucky, which means that now the bonus rule will go into effect for Duke. Bill Cassidy waits to get in for Smith as the free throw is good by Bobby Joe Harris. Duke trails by 2 points. Adrian Smith comes out, and number 12, Bill Cassidy, a 20-year-old senior from Inez, steps into the first lineup as a substitute. He's 6'2", weighs 191. Bill Cassidy, southpaw. Hatton gives a high pivot to Beck on the pivot. Both guards by. Cassidy gets it in return and walks with it, and it's out of bounds to Duke. Passes into Bobby Joe Harris, who moves up in front court for the Blue Devils. They trail by 2 points. They've had a 5-point lead themselves. Here it is into Newcomb in the pivot. A hook over Krigler is good. So Newcomb with his second field goal ties the game up at 16-all as Kentucky's 12-point lead has been eclipsed with a 6-2 trail. And here's Cassidy having the ball taken away again. Hatton goes down and retakes. And then Cassidy gets it finally back down under the Duke basket. Well, Cassidy's had trouble getting settled down, losing the ball twice on 2 trips into front court. First 2 of the season for him. Cassidy, since he's been here at the University of Kentucky, and this is his last year, has missed only 6 free throws. Beck hands over to Hatton, who takes a 15-foot jump shot that's no good. Fighting for the rebound. Duke's got it, and they got 3 men wide open with nobody even near Newcomb. Lays it up and good. Newcomb with his 3rd field goal puts Duke in front 18-16. Duke has outscored Kentucky 8-2 since the Cats took that 4-point lead. Beck lays it in driving. That's it. Beck's first field goal. As Beck played 9.5 minutes without a point. Up in front court is Bobby Joe Harris. Slants to the left and passes down the side to Newcomb. 18-18 the score. Robertson out deep into the left. Passes over to Harris. Looks at Allen as he moves toward him, passing to him. Schmidt in the right corner. As Harris moves out, gets the ball from Bucky Allen. Moving slowly to the right, passing back to Allen. Allen moving to the right, giving to Harris, bringing it out, gives to Robertson. Top of the circle, here's the jump shot. No good. Beck rebounds and has it taken away from him, and Cox picks it up quickly. Passes up the way to Bill Cassidy. Down to Krigler, who's wide open. Under the basket, fouled by Schmidt before he could get the shot away. That's the 2nd personal foul by Schmidt, and now each team has committed 6 personals, which means now that the bonus rule goes into effect. And John Krigler of Kentucky is on the free throw line for the first time. Score 18-18. 9 minutes, 57 seconds in the first half, and Krigler hits. Fouled in the act of shooting. He has a second one coming. Wildcats holding a 1-point lead. Second shot good by Krigler, and it's a 20-18 lead for the Wildcats. Bobby Joe Harris moving back up in front court for the Blue Devils. Setting it up, 3 out, 2 in. Over to Robertson, deep to the left, on the side to Newcomb, faces Krigler. Then breaks by him, goes under, lays it up, no good. Tapped up by Schmidt, no good. Wide open for the rebound. It's laid in by Paul Schmidt. It's Schmidt's 4th field goal, and the score tied 20-20. Hatton feeds back on the pivot, breaks for the basket, and misses. Rebound taken off by Duke as it's pulled in by Schmidt. Flips it up to Newcomb, moving in front court, down the right side. Breaks in against Cassidy. Double team now by Beck. He flips it up. Oh, just missed a tremendous shot, and Cassidy rebounds on the bounce for Kentucky. Cassidy moving up the back court alone. Crosses the line, passes to Beck, goes by, back to Hatton from 20 feet. Good. Vernon Hatton gets his 4th field goal, and Duke calls their 2nd timeout with the score Kentucky 22, Duke 20. 9 minutes here in the first half of play. Well, we'd like to remind you that we'll be with you over the Standard Oil Sports Network Wednesday night at 7:45 Eastern Standard Time when Kentucky plays Ohio State at St. John Arena in Columbus. Into the Duke lineup is Bob Vernon, 20-year-old senior from Riverside, New Jersey. Vernon, 6 feet, weighs 170. And also into the lineup comes Hayes Clement, a 22-year-old senior from New Bern. Clement is 6'7" and weighs 220. Well, in case you may have missed the announcement, which was made about an hour and a half ago, the unbeaten, untied giant of the Southeastern Conference, Auburn, has just been crowned the national champion of 1957, their first title, as Michigan State finished 3rd, beaten out by Ohio State by less than 100 points. In the Southeastern Conference, Ole Miss finished up number 7, Tennessee finished 13, Mississippi State 14, and Florida 17. A estimated attendance tonight of 12,000 from Ken Kuhn here, and we've got a standing room crowd on hand. The score is 22-20. Kentucky leads Duke after 11 minutes. Bobby Joe Harris is now at a guard with Bob Vernon. Robertson and Schmidt remain in the lineup. Newcomb is out as Clement now plays the pivot. Up in the front court is Harris of Duke. Fakes and drives on Cassidy. Hatton knocks the ball down, and Cassidy picks it up without a Duke shot. Bill Cassidy back in front court for the Wildcats, who's nicknamed to teammates as Hoppy. feeds to Beck on the pivot. Beck gives to Cox to the right, and the jump shot, good. So Johnny Cox picks up his second field goal, and the Wildcats have their second 4-point lead of the game, 14-10 and 24-20 as it stands right now. Here it is over to Robertson, hands off to Harris, and that three-man weaving from the outside. The shot is good by Bob Vernon, his first field goal. It's 24-22 for the Wildcats as they move back to the attack with Hatton in front court. Hands over to Cassidy, moving to the left, passing back to Hatton. Looks at Beck, who moves off the pivot now. Hatton moves down to the right. Krigler breaks on a back block that didn't work, and Hatton missed the shot under the basket. A jump ball is called in the rebound. Krigler will be jumping for Kentucky at 6'3" against Clement, who will have 4 inches height advantage for Duke on the Kentucky free throw line. 8 minutes, 6 seconds here in the first half. Here's the toss, and the tip goes over to Duke, and then it's knocked away by Cox, but picked up by Clement, fed over to Harris, who moves up in front court for the Blue Devils. Going into the last 8 minutes, Duke trails by 2 points. They've had a 5-point lead. Kentucky's had 2 4-point leads. Now here's Vernon driving to the left, pulls up, shoots over Hatton to the right, no good. Rebounding Ed Beck of Kentucky, a one-bounce dribble to clear himself. Over to Vernon, Hatton up to Cassidy. Cassidy in front court feeds Krigler on the left side. Brings it out, gives to Hatton from 25 feet. He misses, bounces off to the left, and it's taken off beautifully by Krigler, who has it taken away by Harris, but he stepped out of bounds with it. So it goes over to Kentucky, to the right of the basket, over the baseline, with 7.5 minutes in this first half. Ed Beck will put it in play. They line up 4 abreast to the right of the circle. Beck passes in the corner to Cassidy. The left-hander misses. Beck taps, no good. Cox has it knocked away and out of bounds. Duke gets it. Robertson passes in to Harris, who's picked up quickly by Vernon Hatton. Passes in front court to Bob Vernon now, moving down the right side. Whips on the bounce to Schmidt. Fakes Krigler, who fouls him as he goes in and lays it in good. The basket is good. That is the 5th field goal by Schmidt. It is the first personal on Krigler. The free throw by Schmidt is no good. The ball comes off on the boards to Duke's Bobby Joe Harris with the score now tied 24-all. Hatton blocks his shot out of bounds. Duke takes it on the left side of the front court. Pass outside to Vernon and back to Harris, who moves in against Hatton to the top rim of the circle. Passes over to Vernon, out to Robertson with Cox on him. Now to the right, here's the shot by Vernon, good. So Bob Vernon has come in to hit 2 out of 3 field goals and put Duke ahead 26-24 after it was tied up by Schmidt. Now here is Cassidy in front court for Kentucky, gives to Beck. Beck breaks to the right, loses the ball, but it's kicked back to Johnny Cox. Cox at the top of the circle, passes to the right side to Krigler. Fakes to break, can't do it, gives over to Cox, down the baseline, walks with it, and it's out of bounds to Duke. Duke 26, Kentucky 24. Up into front court now. The pass goes on the pivot to Schmidt. Charges into Krigler, breaking for the basket. And for Schmidt, that's personal foul number 3. Now the bonus rule is into effect, as this is the 7th personal foul on Duke. Racing back in is Jim Newcomb. John Krigler is on the Kentucky free throw line. Krigler has hit 2 for 2 tonight. 6 minutes and 14 seconds in this first half. Paul Schmidt, who's picked up 12 points for Duke, or almost half, leaves the lineup for the first time. The free throw, good by Krigler, and with the bonus shot, he can tie it up. We start over, incidentally, each team committing 6 personals before the bonus shot counts in the second half. Krigler's bonus shot ties the game at 26-all. The Duke assistant coach is doing a whole lot more of coaching than Harold Bradley, who's sitting quietly by on the bench. Now Robertson moves to the right, hands off to Harris, breaks down the middle, gets away, and Cassidy blocks it from the rear. Jump ball. The fans booing, thinking a foul had been called, with 6 minutes here in the first half, and the score 26 apiece. Cassidy moves in with 1 inch height advantage and taps to Krigler, who gets it. Fires to Hatton. Moves up in front court. Pass to Beck, who wasn't expecting it, but got it just in time. Krigler breaks for the basket, turns, can't shoot. Out to Hatton from the left corner, who shoots way short. Fight for the ball. It's down and picked up by Krigler. And a whistle from the baseline. A foul against Jerry Robertson of Duke, his first personal. And Krigler again to the line. This is the 4th time that Krigler has been to the free throw line. Now Krigler stands in to shoot. Good. And gets a bonus shot. And another Duke substitution. Into the lineup is Bucky Allen. Coming out is Bobby Joe Harris. 2 men left the lineup. Robertson also goes out, now realizes he's supposed to stay in and comes back. Kentucky has a 1-point lead as Krigler goes in for the bonus shot. Got it. 6 straight free throws for Krigler. And Kentucky leads 28-26. Back in the front court, Bob Vernon of Duke. Gives over to Bucky Allen, moving to the right on a 3-man weave. Now to Robertson, now to Vernon, back to Allen at the top of the circle. Back to Vernon, jump shot, no good. Tapped up to the outside, taking it on the bounce now. From the outside is Vernon. Into Clement, one-hand jump shot, no good. Johnny Cox rebounds for Kentucky. Passes to Vernon Hatton, who moves over the midcourt stripe. Over to Cassidy, down the right side to Krigler, in the pivot to Beck. Beck breaks for the basket and hooks, no good. Rebounding, Newcomb of Duke. Passes up to Bucky Allen. Mows in front court with it to the top rim of the circle. Breaks in against Cassidy. Turns his back to him and hooks. Good. Bucky Allen gets his first field goal of the game to tie it up at 28 all with 5 minutes to go. Adrian Smith waits to get into the Kentucky lineup now. Vernon Hatton moves down the right side. Gives to Krigler from 25 feet. He misses. Beck taps. Good. Ed Beck tapping in his second field goal of the ball game. Puts Kentucky back in front, 30-28. Up in front court is Allen. Passes over to Bob Vernon. Hands to Robertson as the Duke bench yells, keep it going. They mean the 3-man weave, which is operating out front. Bob Vernon at the top of the circle. A one-bounce dribble and over to Bucky Allen. Allen weaves, breaks in against Cassidy, gets by him and lays it up just short, no good. Krigler rebounds for Kentucky. Whips it up to Hatton, breaking in against Vernon, and he got it. And a foul against Bob Vernon of Duke is his first of the ball game. For Vernon Hatton, the field goal will count, and it is his 5th of the game, giving Hatton 11 points. And Cassidy comes out to make way for Adrian Smith at guard. Vernon Hatton has hit 1 for 1 on the Kentucky free throw line. Hit or miss, this is only 1 since his field goal is awarded. 4 minutes and 19 seconds in this first half as Kentucky now has its 3rd 4-point lead of the game. Hatton hits, and Kentucky leads by 5 points. Meaning that each team now has had a 5-point lead. Duke at 7-2, and now Kentucky at 33-28. Here's a break by Newcomb against Krigler, and a hook that's no good. Rebounding is Johnny Cox. He triggers a 3-on-2 fast break. Pulls up, gives to Hatton. He fakes, breaks in from 10 feet. A jump shot, no good. Short. Krigler, a beautiful rebound, lays it up, no good. And Duke gets the rebound as Clement pulls it off. Throws it over the head of Vernon, but he can't hold on, and it's out of bounds to Kentucky. Kentucky 33, Duke 28 as Adrian Smith gets the incoming pass down the left side to Krigler. Left open from 20 feet. He missed it. Off with the rebound is Cox. A one-bounce dribble. Bounce pass under the basket to Krigler. Kick down. Cox picks it up. Hooks it up. No good. A whistle from the baseline and a foul against Hayes Clement of Duke. His first one. 3 minutes, 34 seconds here. And as Cox steps to the free throw line, let's take 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky, it's 8:30.
Johnny Cox free throw is good, and Kentucky leads by 6 points for the first time in the game. Cox on the line for a bonus shot. That's good. Kentucky 35, Duke 28. Up to the front court for Duke is Bucky Allen, breaking in against Vernon Hatton, and he walks with it. It goes over to the Wildcats for the second time. Duke does not get a shot. Adrian Smith moves in front court with it now. Wildcats holding a 7-point lead, largest edge for either team. Into Beck, back to Hatton from 25 feet. It's no good. Tap by Beck, it's good. Ed Beck with his 3rd field goal of the game. Makes it 37-28 as the Cats reel off 9 straight points on a 28-all tie. Up into front court now is Bob Vernon into the 3-man weave with Robertson and Allen. Back over to Vernon before a capacity crowd of 12,000. He hits again. That's 3 field goals for reserve Bob Vernon. 37-30 as Cox moves down the left side for the Cats. Outside to Adrian Smith, over to Hatton, down the right on the bounce to Krigler, back to Hatton. Cox moves out. Hatton sets, eyes the basket, then gives to Cox, who drops it and starts it bouncing. Over to Hatton in the pivot to Beck, back to Hatton at the free throw line. Down the middle, he got it, and a whistle. Goal's good. Personal foul against Duke's Hayes Clement. His 2nd personal. And for Hatton, field goal number 6 rolls in. Into the Duke lineup is Bobby Joe Harris. Bob Vernon checks out. Vernon Hatton last year had his best night against Miami when he racked up 29 points. And he's on the free throw line right now, trying for his 15th point in this first half. Shot, no good. Beck taps, no good. Duke rebounds as Harris gets it with 2.5 minutes to play. Moves into front court for the Blue Devils. Bounce pass goes over to Newcomb, back to Harris, hooks it in beautifully. Bobby Joe Harris gets his first field goal of the game to make it Kentucky 39, Duke 32. Adrian Smith in front court for the Wildcats. Down the right side to Krigler. Fakes, breaks on Newcomb, under the basket, hooks it in beautifully. John Krigler, field goal number 2. Kentucky 41, Duke 32. Into front court now is Bobby Joe Harris of the Blue Devils. Angles to the left and gives off to Newcomb out deep with 2 minutes in the first half. Fakes one to Clement on the pivot and passes across the front lines to Bucky Allen. Fakes, breaks, falls, and gives off to Robertson, who drives, and Hatton cuts him off at the baseline. Passes to Allen. He shoots. No good. Rebounding Ed Beck as he takes it away from teammate Johnny Cox. Fighting with his back to Cox. Up to Hatton to Smith on the left side of the front court. In the left corner to Hatton. A one-bounce dribble flipped out to Adrian Smith. To the right. He gives to Krigler. Krigler passes out front to Hatton, who's yelling, set it up. Adrian Smith comes out. Hatton moves to the left, dancing away from the Duke defense, man-to-man. Here's Beck, left open at the free throw line. Passes over to Cox, moves down the left, drives under, and is fouled from the rear. Jump ball, Checkers. Official coming up, rolling a beautiful defensive move by Hayes Clement of Duke. He'll jump at 6'7", with 3 inches height advantage on the Kentucky free throw line against Johnny Cox. Now into the Duke lineup for the first time is Don Miller, 20-year-old junior from Miami, Florida. Miller is 6'4" and weighs 190. 1 minute and 22 seconds here in the first half. Getting ready to jump now. The toss is up, tapped over to Bucky Allen of Duke, who moves up into front court for the Blue Devils. Drives down the middle and got it good. And a foul against Vernon Hatton of Kentucky is his first one of the ball game. 1 minute and 15 seconds in the first half. Here's Paul Schmidt back in the Duke lineup. Kentucky 41, Duke 34. As the field goal by Bucky Allen is his second one, and he's on the free throw line. Hayes Clement has come out of the Duke lineup. Kentucky 41, Duke 34. Allen has not missed a free throw. Duke has missed only 2. Kentucky's missed only 2 free throws. Allen has 1, hit or miss, that's all, and his chance is good. So it's a 41-35 ball game with the Cats going back to the attack. Vernon Hatton in front court, swings over the dividing line, follows back into the pivot and shoots off the screen with a whistle as it's no good. Beck is called for pushing, his second foul of the game. So Kentucky is called for 2 personal fouls in a row without getting a shot away. Beck moves in to protest to the official and moves out to tell him that Beck was pushing his way and clearing it open for Hatton to shoot. And Duke's Bobby Joe Harris, who is another one of the players in this ball game that has not missed a free throw, is on the line for 1 shot. The bonus situation applies here. The free throw, good. And Duke moves cautiously now within 5 points after being twice down by 9. The 5'11" Duke guard, Bobby Joe Harris, stands in with feet close together. He's a left-hander, shoots good. 41-37 as Duke reels off 5 straight points in the Cats. Vernon Hatton back in front court now, setting it up as we go into the last minute of the first half. Gives into Beck, out to Krigler, out deep to Adrian Smith, who's filling in for the graduated Jerry Calvert. Down the right side to Krigler, brings it back out front, giving it to Hatton. Kentucky seems to want only 1 shot, being assured of trying to carry a lead to the dressing room here at halftime. Adrian Smith to Cox, who's out deep with it. Over to Vernon Hatton. We've got 40 seconds left. Kentucky's next game is only 2 nights away. Wednesday in Columbus, where they play Ohio State, with broadcast time 7:45 over these same Standard Oil stations. Now Adrian Smith gets it out deep with 25 seconds to go. The Cats started their freeze with 1 minute here in the first half on a 4-point lead, 41-37. Capacity crowd of 12,000 watching this now, beginning to itch for a little action. Ed Beck gets it over to Adrian Smith, breaks in 10 feet to the right. The shot's good. Adrian Smith gets his second field goal with 8 seconds to go. Newcomb breaks up for Duke, and from 20 feet, he pumps one to the right, no good. Ball comes off to Schmidt, fires her back in, and no shot as the first half ends. So the Wildcats end up with a lead at halftime of 6 points. Kentucky 43, Duke 37. A capacity crowd is gathered here at the Coliseum tonight. 12,000 fans, standing room crowd. As for the second half, Jerry Robertson, a 6'6" forward, checks back in for Duke. Bob Vernon comes in at a guard. So there are two new ones checking in for Duke, two that did not comprise the starting lineup at the end of the first half. Kentucky 43, Duke 37. Wildcats start back with Adrian Smith and Vernon Hatton. Ed Beck at center. And the forwards, John Cox, John Krigler. In addition to Bob Vernon and Jerry Robertson, Duke comes back with Jim Newcomb, Paul Schmidt, and Bucky Allen. Wildcats have a 5-point edge. Two 9-point leads for the Wildcats melted away. Ed Beck at 6'7", moves in against Newcomb of Duke with a 2-inch advantage, and the tap goes to Krigler. Flips off to Hatton, moving quickly down the right side. Over to Cox, 20-foot jump shot's blocked, but he's fouled on the play, but Jerry Robertson of Duke committing his first foul. The bonus rule does not apply now until Duke commits 5 more personals or Kentucky commits 6. Johnny Cox in the free throw line, 3 for 3, shooting for his 8th point. Got 2 coming. First one, no good. First miss in 4 tries for Johnny Cox as Kentucky leads 43-37. Second shot by Cox is good. Kentucky goes on top by 7 points. Now back to the attack with Duke's Bob Vernon moving in front court. Cuts off to the right, gets a screen, and the jump shot good. Bob Vernon, a substitute, who has hit exceptionally well from the outside, pulls Duke to within 5 points at 44-39. Break for the basket by Krigler. Shot blocked, but a foul is called against Duke's Jim Newcomb, his first foul of the game, and the second foul against Duke here in the second half. John Krigler goes to the free throw line for 1 shot. Checkers, 2 shots. First one good. We've played 30 seconds. Each team has scored 2 points. Second shot good by Krigler. That gives him a run of 8 straight free throws in this game. Kentucky with a 7-point edge. 46-39. They've outscored the Blue Devils by 1 in this second half. Bucky Allen breaks in against Hatton on the left side. Fake and a hook. It's no good. Bounces off. Beck rebounds for Kentucky. Fights his way into the clear. Takes it into the right corner on a high 1-bounce dribble. Over to Hatton and up to Smith moving in front court. In the pivot to Beck. Hatton goes by. Hands back to Smith. 20-foot jump shot. No good. Screams off the rim to Duke's Bob Vernon. He takes off on a 3-2 fast break. Cuts down the middle. Feeds over. Wide open. Robertson lays it in. For Robertson, that is his first field goal of the game. Kentucky 46, Duke 41. Hatton, a high one to Beck on the free throw line pivot. Hatton goes by, but the pass is out to Smith. Over to Krigler from 20 feet. He missed it. Tapped up by Hatton, no good. Taken off by Newcomb of Duke. Kentucky going for the outside shot now here in the early going, leading by 5 points. Newcomb comes down, hooks over Beck, good. And for Newcomb, that's 4 field goals, and Duke moves within 3 at 46-43. Up into front court is Adrian Smith as Duke's defense gets tighter out front. Over to John Krigler, out to Hatton. Beck moves off. Hatton wants a screen. Gets it, breaks to the right, gets away from Newcomb and lays it in. Vernon Hatton worked the screen the way he wanted it for his 7th field goal and 16th point of the ball game. Kentucky 48, Duke 43. Bucky Allen in front court to Bob Vernon. Looks to the right. Gives to Robertson. Out is Newcomb. Pass in the pivot. Left-handed hook. It's good. Newcomb with his 5th field goal. Makes it 48-45. The Cats with a 3-point edge take possession. Adrian Smith in front court. Angles to the right and gives to Krigler. Fakes to follow him in. Pivots. Passes out deep to Hatton. High pass to Beck in on the pivot as Duke's defense is driving Kentucky's guards out deeper. Hatton under the basket. Double team. Comes out. Gives to Smith. A fake and a break. 10-footer. No good. Off with it. Krigler from 10 feet to the right. He misses. Outside. Newcomb's got it. Passes over to Allen. A 1-1 race with Adrian Smith. And a foul is on Bucky Allen of Duke. It is his 2nd personal foul of the ball game. Adrian Smith picking up with him. Bucky Allen and Smith collided. It's interesting to note that the Duke coach, Harold Bradley, sits very quietly on the Duke bench. Methodical, workmanlike approach to it. The assistant coach, man, he's everywhere. What you would call a buzzsaw. Here's Adrian Smith of Kentucky on the free throw line for 1 shot, and it is good. Kentucky 49, Duke 45, and that, by the way, is the 3rd foul against Duke in this second half. Bucky Allen in front court for the Blue Devils now. Gives off to Bob Vernon, pulls it up over his head and whips to the pivot to Paul Schmidt, breaks in on Beck, and walks with it. Took an extra step in taking off for a looping hook shot, and at the baseline under the Duke basket, Adrian Smith puts it in play to Hatton. Takes a return bounce pass. Smith moves up over the line. High pass to the pivot to Beck. Over to Hatton from 15 feet. He misses. Tapped up by Beck, taken off by Cox, who gets it for the first time in this half of play after 3 minutes. Adrian Smith gives over to Cox. Fakes to break in. Takes it to the left corner. Bounce pass to Beck. Back to Cox from 15 feet. He hits. Johnny Cox with his third field goal puts the Cats on top 51-45. Up in the front court is Vernon of Duke. Over to Robertson to the right. Schmidt in on the double pivot to the right. Turns with a shot over Beck that's no good. And Hatton gets the rebound for Kentucky. Out to Krigler. Homo's up in front court for the Big Blue. Down the right side. Free throw line deep. Hands to Cox. Screens. Here's the shot. No good. Taken off by Smith. Knocked away as it goes out of bounds to Duke. Bob Vernon quickly into Newcomb, who attacks with it. Taking it up to the top rim of the circle. Angles off to the left and hooks. It's no good. Rebounding. Robertson tied up beautifully by Johnny Cox. Into the Duke lineup strides Jack Boyd, who started at guard, and he's replacing Vernon. Robertson of Duke stands 6'6". That's 2 inches taller than Johnny Cox at the Duke free throw line. Here's the jump. The tap to Adrian Smith of Kentucky. Gets it just out in front of Jim Newcomb of Duke. Over to Vernon Hatton in front court. Setting it up as he angles to the left, staying deep. Pass to Cox, back to Hatton. Out front to Krigler at the top of the circle. Moves in, gives to Cox. Breaks off to the right side. Going for him is Schmidt. Bounce pass to Beck. Back to Cox, down the line. Batted away from him and out of bounds by Jim Newcomb of Duke after 4 minutes of the second half. Kentucky 51, Duke 45. Here's Ed Beck from out of bounds, passing a quick two-hander deep to Krigler. Into Cox, moves to the left, double-teamed at the free throw line. He violated the 3-second rule as he had both feet in behind the free throw line. It goes out of bounds to Duke without a shot. Bucky Allen passes into Jack Boyd, who moves up in front court. Cuts to the left and gives to Allen. Breaks out to the free throw line and gives to Robertson, with Cox fighting through the screen to stay with his man. Here's Robertson's shot. Good. Robertson's second field goal, both in this half, make it a 51-47 ball game. Duke has outscored Kentucky by 2 points in the second half. Here's Beck with it in the pivot. Passes to Krigler on the right side. He breaks for the basket. Double team. Gets a shot off. It's good. John Krigler's third field goal makes it Kentucky 53, Duke 47, and each team owns 10 points here in the second half after 4 minutes 45 seconds. Here's the pass to the pivot to Newcomb. Breaks left. Hooks right. Shot no good. Rebounding beautifully is Paul Schmidt. That's 6 field goals by Schmidt. 53-49 after 5 minutes of the second half. Here's Cox with it down the middle. Hooks it up. No good. Beautiful rebound by Krigler, who has it taken away from him by Newcomb. Over to Bucky Allen, and a foul by Krigler. For John Krigler, that's his second personal, and it is the first one against Kentucky in the second half. Before the free throw, 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky.
Bucky Allen of Duke is shooting one try. Pumps it up. Good. And Duke moves within 3 points at 53-50. Vernon Hatton back in front court for the Wildcats now to set it up. Passes right side to Krigler. Out front to Adrian Smith. 35-foot set. No good. Beck taps. Cox taps. Beck taps. Good. Ed Beck tapping in. Field goal number 4. Kentucky leads 55-50. Duke has outscored Kentucky by 1 point after 5.5 minutes of the second half. Up in front court's Boyd. Whips to the pivot to Schmidt. A head fake, a break to the right. He walks with it, and it's out of bounds to Kentucky. Vernon Hatton passing in quickly to Adrian Smith, who rapidly moves into front court. Bounce pass to Beck at the pivot. Back to Smith, breaking for the basket. Shoots way to the left, no good. And rebounding is Newcomb of Duke. Passing to Allen for a 2-2 break against Hatton and Krigler. Goes to the right against Hatton and shoots no good. Beautiful rebound by Johnny Cox, who comes loping out with it on a 2-3 break. Goes to the right side, pulls up, passes over to Hatton and screens. Hatton watches it, angles to the right to the corner, turns his back to one man, gives to Cox in the corner, and he throws it right to Newcomb of Duke. Newcomb walks with it coming in front court as both teams go ragged for a second. Adrian Smith will put it in play. Gives just in front court to Vernon Hatton. High pivot pass goes to Beck. Back to Adrian Smith. Moves to the right. Gives to Krigler from 20 feet. He got it. John Krigler with his 4th field goal, and it's timeout Duke. 3 times out in the ball game. They've all been charged to Duke. 13 minutes and 29 seconds to play. Kentucky 57, Duke 50. As the Wildcats have outscored Duke here in the second half by 1 point as they have battled away on even terms. Individual second half scoring so far. Johnny Cox has 3 points, a total of 10. John Krigler has 6 points, a total of 16. Adrian Smith 1 point, a total of 7. Vernon Hatton 2 points, total of 16. And for the first time in the ball game, Don Mills, an 18-year-old sophomore from Berea, checks into Kentucky's lineup. Don Mills is 6'7", weighs 190. As a freshman last year, he averaged 27-2 a game, a total of 191 points. Getting rest is Ed Beck for the first time. Johnny Cox, John Krigler, and Vernon Hatton have played all the way. Well, Don Mills, the young sophomore, steps out in college varsity competition for the first time. 57-50 is the Kentucky lead. Duke called a timeout before they had put the ball in play from Krigler's field goal, and so they must bring it in full length of the backcourt. Bucky Allen passes into Jack Boyd and takes a return. Bob Vernon, who has replaced Jack Boyd, and takes a return pass, moves in front court. Crisscrosses, gives over to Vernon. Back over to Allen. Vernon goes by. Allen keeps as Adrian Smith fights through on the screen. Over to Jerry Robertson, moves to the left. Gives over to Bucky Allen, moving to the right side. Over to Vernon, gets the 20-foot shot away, in and out. Fighting for it, Don Mills gets it for Kentucky. Passes up the way to Krigler. Moves in front court, pulls up quickly out deep and gives to Adrian Smith. Almost handed to him. Faking, giving to the pivot now to Beck, to Mills. A hook, no good to the left. Fighting for it as Cox can't get it. Vernon picks it up. Newcomb gets it. Now Adrian Smith's got it for Kentucky. Moves away to the right. Free throw line jump shot, no good. Comes off of there to Bob Vernon of Duke. He drops it and now it's picked up by Robertson over to Newcomb and up to Allen. Kentucky 57, Duke 50. Bucky Allen in front court for the Blue Devils. Their football team is Orange Bowl bound the end of this month. Vernon trips going down to the baseline and holds on. Passes up to Bucky Allen on the right side. A head fake, a drive under the basket. Hooks it up, no good. Rebound, Johnny Cox of Kentucky. Cox comes out of there with it, that long loping move of his. Passes over to Hatton, top of the circle, left open. Takes the shot, no good. Under the rim and out of bounds. Ball in possession of Kentucky. It'll be put in play by Don Mills. 57-50, the Cats lead. 8 minutes have been played here in the second half. 12 to go. John Krigler gets it, hands to Hatton, coming out deep now to set it up. Here's Krigler, breaks for the basket, double team, pulls up, shoots, no good. Fight for the ball coming off the boards. Hatton knocks it down. Vernon picks it up, and it's out of bounds. Bob Vernon will put it in play for Duke. Passes into Bucky Allen, standing just in the backcourt. Moves over the dividing line. Cuts into the right side. Breaks for the basket on Johnny Cox. Cox blocked the shot, but across the arms. For Johnny Cox, personal foul number 3. That is the second personal on Kentucky in this half. 3 have been charged against Duke. And Bucky Allen of Duke steps to the free throw line, shooting 2. 11 minutes, 31 seconds to go. Now Allen, first try. Good. Duke pulls within 6 points. Second shot, and Allen hasn't missed in 5 tries. Allen shoots, feet close together, 2-hand set shot. Guided with the right hand, that's good. Kentucky 57, Duke 52. Smith to Krigler, breaks for the basket. Goes under, gives over to Mills, jump shot, no good, short. Tapped up into the air, Mills taps up, no good. Fight for the ball, Bucky Allen's got it for Duke, but not quickly enough, and will have a jump. Kentucky holds a 5-point edge. They've been outscored by Duke in the second half of play by 1 point. Johnny Cox at 6'4", jumping against Allen, giving Kentucky 2 inches height advantage at their own free throw line. Now the toss goes to Hatton on the tip. He fights to clear it away from Robertson, who lined him up to steal it. Over to Cox for a 25-foot jump shot short. Rebounding Krigler and Cox, and Krigler's call for pushing. That's the 3rd foul on Krigler, and it's the 3rd foul on each team now in the second half. 11 minutes, 11 seconds. Jim Newcomb of Duke makes his first appearance at the free throw line. Newcomb has garnered 5 field goals, just one less than Paul Schmidt. One shot coming. Bonus shot not yet in effect. Free throw, good. Cutting the Kentucky lead to 4 points, 57-53. Vernon Hatton back in front court for the Wildcats now. Passes to Krigler on the right side. Gives in the corner to Adrian Smith. Back out front to Hatton. Breaks off a screen to the right. Picked up by Boyd. Gets away from him. Lays it in. Vernon Hatton picks up his 8th field goal. And Kentucky leads 59-53. We're into the last 11 minutes of the ball game with Bucky Allen of Duke in front court. Breaks to the left. Stops at the free throw line. Hands out to Robertson, cutting down the left side. He gives to Paul Schmidt. Mills backs away from him. Pass goes into Newcomb. Fakes Krigler. Breaks for the basket. And a foul on Krigler. And it is Krigler's 4th personal foul. That is the 4th foul on Kentucky in this half. 10 minutes, 37 seconds to play. As Paul Schmidt comes out of the Duke lineup, Hayes Clement is back in. Newcomb on the Duke free throw line for one shot. And off the Kentucky bench is Phil Johnson, waiting to make his first appearance of the game. Here's the shot, good. And for the first time this season, we see Phil Johnson, number 14 of U High, here in Lexington, replacing Krigler. 21-year-old junior. Johnson, 6'6", weighs 190. Best night he had was in 55-56 season when he got 9 points against Georgia. He didn't play last year. 59-54, Kentucky leads. As Hatton gets it from Johnson, moves down to the right side, goes under the basket, hooks it up, no good, and Duke's got it. Coming off with it is Robertson, batted away from Clement. It's out of bounds. Duke keeps possession. Passes in. Hatton knocks it down from Robertson, racing in, picked up by Bob Vernon. So Duke trails by 5 points as they go back to the attack. Moving over the dividing line is Bucky Allen. Passes to Bob Vernon deep into the left side. He moves out to the free throw line. A screen and a jump. It's good. Bob Vernon gets his 5th field goal to make it a 59-56 ball game. And the Duke defense is down in backcourt. They're about ready for an all-court press, which won the ball game for them last year in a big upset at Durham. Here it is over to Phil Johnson on the right side. He wears glasses. Outside to Johnny Cox. Over to Smith in the pivot to Mills. Back to Hatton at the top rim of the circle. He pivots. Kentucky has abandoned its offense, gone to individual moves now, with Hatton going under the basket, coming out the right side, passing over to Adrian Smith, free throw line jump shot, good. Adrian Smith with his 3rd field goal, first one of this half, puts Kentucky on top 61-56, 9 minutes, 25 seconds in the game. Here at the Coliseum in Lexington, Kentucky and Duke battling it out. Up into front court, Jerry Robertson of Duke, hands off to Vernon, breaks to the right, gets away from Smith, the shot, no good, but Smith fouled him. For Adrian Smith, that's 4 personals. And that's 5 against Kentucky, which means they have only one more before the bonus rule goes into effect. 2 shots are being awarded to Bob Vernon, who has not been to the free throw line previously in this game. No activity on the Kentucky bench as 2 starters, Krigler and Beck, are out of action right now. 9 minutes, 14 seconds to play. Here's the first shot. No good by Vernon. Kentucky has been outscored by Duke in the second half. Second shot, no good, and Cox rebounds. Moves up into front court for the Wildcats. Passes to Hatton, moving to the left side from 20 feet. A jump shot in and out, back in. Vernon Hatton has 9 field goals as Kentucky leads 63-56. Up in front court is Bucky Allen of Duke. Cuts to the left. Hatton goes with him. He spins away, goes down the middle, has the shot blocked out of bounds by Mills and Hatton. And Duke keeps possession. We're into the last 9 minutes of play. The referee yells to Allen to make sure he's all right after hitting the floor. Here's Clement out of bounds. Passes in. It's knocked right back out of bounds by Johnny Cox. Duke will put it in play on the right side now. Passes across the way to Robertson. 15-foot jump shot is short. Bounces off to the left. Hatton taps it down and out of bounds to Duke. Jerry Robertson will put it in play this time for the Blue Devils. Bounce pass comes into Newcomb deep on the left side. Newcomb breaks in against Johnson, gives out to Allen, fakes Hatton, goes right down the middle, wide open, and missed it. Cox knocks it off on the side, fights to take it, and gets it. He's got a 4-on-2 fast break going as he moves into the right side now, pulls up, bounce pass to Hatton, onto the basket, can't get a shot away, and comes out this left side. Passes off in the left corner to Adrian Smith, and a jump shot, good. Adrian Smith has just pumped in 2 quick field goals to give Kentucky a lead of 9 points once again. Their 3rd 9-point lead of the game. 65 to 56 with Robertson of Duke in front court at the free throw line. Out to Vernon as Smith backs away. Here's the jump shot from 20 feet, good. As Bob Vernon shoots phenomenally well in a reserve role, he's got 6 field goals divided among the first and second half. It's 65 to 58 with Hatton in front court for Kentucky. They lead by 7 points. A pass knocked down by Vernon, who gets away from Hatton as he falls. Breaks up down the middle and lays it in. Bob Vernon with his 7th field goal, 2 quick ones. 7.5 minutes to play as Paul Schmidt of Duke comes off the bench. Now Kentucky's 9-point lead is quickly cut to 5 as Adrian Smith breaks in front court and is fouled. He missed the shot. Clement of Duke is drawing the personal, his 3rd personal foul, and that is 4 personals by Duke in this half. Adrian Smith goes to the line as Paul Schmidt checks in to replace Clement. 7 minutes and 22 seconds to play. Last year, Duke was down and then went into a full court press against Kentucky, and the Wildcats completely exploded to give the Blue Devils a 1-point victory. Now we may see Duke going into a full court press at any minute. Adrian Smith has 2 big free throws, and the first one is no good. That's the first one that Adrian has missed in 4 tries. Smitty, as his teammates identify him, second one's good. And it's Kentucky 66, Duke 60. That's 5 straight points for Smith, though. Here's Bucky Allen back in front court for the Blue Devils. Angles to the left and gives to Vernon. That's the man they want to shoot, as he's blistering hot with 7 field goals and not a starter. Bucky Allen has it at the top rim of the circle. Into the pivot it goes. Schmidt breaks by on Don Mills, and a foul against Mills. For Don Mills, that's his first one. And that is the 6th foul against Kentucky. Ed Beck replaces Mills at pivot. Mills gets a nice hand as he leaves the game. 2 shots go to Paul Schmidt of Duke, who's hit 2 and missed 2. Now any foul committed by Kentucky gives Duke the bonus shot. The first shot is good by Schmidt. Kentucky's lead is back to 5 points. Duke has outscored the Wildcats now in the second half. The second shot is no good. Drops off the rim, but it's laid in by Newcomb. Left unopposed under the basket. For Newcomb, that's 6 field goals, and Duke trails by only 3 points. 66 to 63. Kentucky had a 9-point lead. Quickly melt away to 3. Here it is to Beck in on the pivot. Outside to Vernon Hatton. Down the right side to Phil Johnson. Fakes, breaks, gives off to Beck in the pivot. Hands off the left side to Hatton. From 10 feet, he misses. Duke rebounds as Paul Schmidt pulls it in. Hatton takes it away from him, and a foul is called. Vernon Hatton of Kentucky, his 2nd personal foul. Duke calling players in toward the bench to talk with them. 6 minutes, 38 seconds in this ball game. The bonus rule applies now as Paul Schmidt goes to the Duke free throw line, where he has hit 3 and missed 3. He's got 1 shot coming as Duke trails by 3 points. Schmidt lines it up and shoots. No good. Tap to the outside. Adrian Smith of Kentucky pulls it in. Passes over to Vernon Hatton, who moves up in front court. 6.5 minutes to play. Into the pivot to Ed Beck. Out to Smith on the right side from 20 feet. He got it. Adrian Smith with his 5th field goal. Makes it Kentucky 68, Duke 63. Bob Vernon in front court. A head fake and a drive down the middle. His shot, no good. Beck with a rebound for Kentucky. Walks with it. And it goes out of bounds to Duke on the right side of their offensive court. Jim Newcomb is out of bounds to put her in play to Bob Vernon out deep. He moves over to the left as we go into the last 6 minutes of this ball game. Bucky Allen at the free throw line, drives in on Hatton, who tries to cover him up now. The shot, no good, short. Johnny Cox gets the rebound, moves out of there with it, brings it on into front court and down the right side. Stops, passes to Hatton. He angles to the left side, pumps into Adrian Smith, out of the corner, good. Adrian Smith sacks up field goal number 6 as Kentucky goes into a lead of 70 to 63. Down through this portion of the game, Adrian Smith has certainly carried Kentucky point-wise. Out front, Jim Newcomb of Duke as the Duke bench signals timeout, and it's called. The 4th timeout of the ball game, all called by Duke. With the score, Kentucky 70, Duke 63. Well, let's go back and check the exciting running portion of this ball game, where Kentucky went out on top by 9 points at 65 to 56 when Adrian Smith hit a 15-foot jump shot as we moved into the last 8 minutes of play. Then Vernon came back with a pair of free throws. Smith fouled by Clement, hit 1 and missed 1, and it was a 66 to 60 ball game. Schmidt fouled by Mills, hit 1 and missed 1. Then Newcomb tapped one in to make it a 66-63 ball game. Kentucky has had 7 points. The last 7 points have been scored by Adrian Smith. The Wildcats are on top by 6 points, or exactly the margin they held at halftime. As we go back to play, Duke is in possession at midcourt. Let us remind you that this is the Standard Oil Network bringing you the game between Kentucky and Duke. Next Wednesday night, bringing you the Kentucky-Ohio State game from Columbus. Broadcast time 7:45 Eastern Standard Time over these same stations. Out of bounds, Bob Vernon of Duke puts it in play to Bucky Allen. Allen, a hometown Durham boy, moves it in front court for the Blue Devils. Passes down the right side to Newcomb. Newcomb sets, looks at Johnson on it, moves in toward him, facing him all the while. Does not threaten the shot, gives over to Bucky Allen. Allen weighs Newcomb through, breaks into the right, fakes Hatton, goes down. Hatton blocked the shot, but he's called for fouling. That's the third foul on Vernon Hatton. And to the Duke free throw line is Bucky Allen. Allen will have 2 tries. Allen has not missed a free throw. 6 for 6 in this game with 5 minutes and 6 seconds to go. And he looks back at teammate Jerry Robertson to make sure his foot's out of the ring. First shot's no good. Bucky Allen in for his second shot. It's good. 70-64. Kentucky's lead by 6 points now. Hatton, high pass to Phil Johnson in the right corner, and a jump shot, no good. Off with it, Paul Schmidt of Duke hooks a high pass out to Vernon, moving up into front court. Down the right side to Bucky Allen, left wide open, breaks for the basket, and a foul by Adrian Smith. And that's all of it for Adrian Smith. He fouls out of the ball game with 4 minutes and 51 seconds to play. Coming in to replace him is Abe Collinsworth, a 20-year-old senior from Salyersville. Collinsworth, 6'3", weighs 185. Had 27 points last year, a 1.8 average. Best night against Washington and Lee when he scored 5. Adrian Smith leads the ball game with Kentucky's last 7 points and a total of 16 points. 6 field goals, 4 out of 5 free throws. Abe Collinsworth making his first appearance of the season. As Duke's Bucky Allen is on the line, John Krigler replaces Phil Johnson at forward. Playing time, 4 minutes, 51 seconds. Now Bucky Allen is ready to go. The bonus rule applies. Now we want to line up the 2 centers to make sure defensive assignments are clear. Kentucky with a 6-point edge. Had a big one melt away on them last week in Durham, and that's probably what these Blue Devils remember right now. Allen's free throw good. He get a bonus shot as Duke has moved within 5 points. Kentucky has lost its scoring punch. Vernon Hatton hit one with 9 minutes and 12 seconds to go, and since that 9-12 mark by Hatton, no one other than Adrian Smith has scored. Bonus shot good, and Kentucky's lead is cut to 4 points, 70-66. Krigler gets it in the right corner, breaks for the basket, and charges with it. And for John Krigler, that's all. This is following exactly the same pattern of last year's game as Kentucky started fouling against the Duke defense as Krigler fouls out. 4 minutes and 44 seconds yet to play. Krigler fouled out only 7 seconds after Adrian Smith. John Krigler comes out with 16 points. Krigler had 4 field goals, 2 in each half, but he ran off all 8 of his free throws. And now Bucky Allen of Duke, who has missed only 1, is on the line for 1 try. The shot's good, and he gets the bonus shot. So Allen has a chance to pull Duke within 2 points. Duke has outplayed Kentucky now in the second half. Allen up for his bonus shot. It's good. Kentucky 70, Duke 68. Vernon Hatton moves back in front court now as the Kentucky partisans here. Better than 12,000, standing room only crowd. Hatton breaks for the basket, and he's fouled by Jerry Robertson of Duke. his third personal foul. The bonus rule does not apply here. There really is no need for it since it is a two-shot foul as Hatton was under the basket shooting. Hatton has hit 2, missed 1. 4 minutes and 35 seconds to play. Duke has committed personal foul number 5 of this half. First shot, no good. Kentucky's lead remains 2 points. Hatton's second shot, good. Kentucky 71, Duke 68, and the Blue Devils take possession. Bob Vernon to Bucky Allen, who steps over the dividing line, dribbling the ball high and deliberately. Moves to the right, passes to Newcomb on Phil Johnson, breaks in against him, loops a hook up that's short. Johnny Cox rebounds. Cox comes out on a 4-2 fast break. Down the right side, fades to Abe Collinsworth, who takes it into the right corner. Passes to Beck and out to Cox from 20 foot. A jump shot, good. 4 field goals for Johnny Cox, and Kentucky leads 73-68. Duke has still outscored Kentucky by 1 point in the second half with 4 minutes to go. Bucky Allen against Johnny Cox breaks down the right side now. Goes under the basket where he can't shoot. Bounces one in to Schmidt. Hooks one out deep to Robertson. Left open. He shoots. Good. For Robertson, that's his third field goal. All in this half. Kentucky 73, Duke 70. Hatton, high pass to Beck at the top of the circle. Back to Hatton. Down the right side to Phil Johnson. And moves out with it to the top rim of the circle. Comes to the left side. Hands to Johnny Cox out front to Hatton. In the pivot to Beck, back to Hatton, moves to the right, 25-foot jump shot is partially blocked and taken by Duke. Pulled in by Bucky Allen. Up to Bob Vernon. He breaks in and shoots, good. Bob Vernon gets his 8th field goal, and Duke trails by just 1 point, 73-72. We got 3 minutes, 12 seconds to go as Vernon Hatton moves back in front court. Down the left side to Johnny Cox, out to Collinsworth. Collinsworth cuts, breaks for the basket, slips and walks with it, and it's out of bounds to Duke. Bucky Allen passes it in before Kentucky was ready, and they'll force him to put it in play once again, with 2 minutes and 56 seconds still to go. Kentucky 73, Duke 72. Clock momentarily stopped, now goes on the run again. Bounce pass comes into Vernon, back to Bucky Allen, who moves up over the midcourt stripe. Duke, which has not been able to tie this game in the second half, has it batted away by Allen, but picked up by Vernon, and from 20 feet, he missed this one. And it is Robertson knocking it out of bounds. Kentucky gets the ball with 2.5 minutes to play and a 1 point lead, 73-72. Collinsworth in front court to Phil Johnson. In the pivot to Beck, knocked away from him. Bucky Allen has got it for Duke. Nobody close to him as he lays it in. And for the first time in the second half, Duke is on top, 74-73. Johnny Cox gets it in front court as Kentucky calls timeout. Their first time out of the ball game. And phenomenally to us, Kentucky is doing exactly what they did at Durham last year. That is, falling apart. With a 9-point lead, they have almost totally collapsed, taking long outside shots, which have not been paying off. Vernon Hatton has hit 2 field goals, or checkers. Vernon Hatton and Johnny Cox have hit field goals in the last 7 minutes of play. The rest of the scoring has been done by Adrian Smith. Well, they were up by 9 points at 65-56, and these Duke Blue Devils have whaled them once again. 74-73 with 2 minutes and 14 seconds to go, and Adolph Rupp has never lost an opening ball game. So let's see what he can talk with them about right now, because Kentucky's got the ball at midcourt trailing by 1 point, and all the pressure's on them. Because the last point that Duke got, the last field goal, was a giveaway basket. Nobody near Allen when he went in to lay it in. That was his 3rd field goal of the game. No change in the Kentucky lineup. Two minutes and 14 seconds in this ball game. A lot of time yet to go, which means 1 field goal certainly at this point does not stand much chance of being the difference. Well, here we go. As Vernon Hatton passes just in backcourt to Abe Collinsworth, Krigler and Adrian Smith have fouled out of the game. Hatton down the right side in front court, backs away from the Duke defense, which is not aggressive. Hatton from 20 feet, misses. Tapped by Beck, no good. Rebounded Collinsworth. Over to Hatton, down the right to Beck. Hands off to Hatton, breaking to the right, goes in, shoots, good. That is 10 field goals for Vernon Hatton. Kentucky back on top by 1 point. 75-74 as Bucky Allen sets her up for Duke. Out to Bob Vernon. Man, he's been death with that right arm. 8 field goals for him and a reserve role. Bucky Allen breaks against Hatton, trips and falls out of bounds. A foul on Vernon Hatton for tripping. That is the 4th personal foul against Vernon Hatton. Now the other official comes out and says no good, walking. One official called a foul on Hatton, the other one called walking on Allen, and Kentucky gets the ball. Here's the pass from Hatton down to Beck. Back to Hatton, a minute and a half to go as Vernon breaks for the basket. Double team. Can he shoot? Yep, but it's knocked out of bounds, and a jump ball is called. 1 minute, 26 seconds to play. Kentucky 75, Duke 74. Hatton in to jump against Schmidt. Schmidt at 6'5", is 4 inches taller, or 2 inches taller. And it goes over on the side to Jim Newcomb. And Duke's got the ball as Kentucky's lead is 1 point. Back in front court now is Bob Vernon. Over to Bucky Allen. Allen breaks to the right, turns his back to Hatton, drops the ball, picks it up. Passes out deep now. Jerry Robertson over to Vernon. Collinsworth stabs for the ball, can't get it. Vernon breaks in on Collinsworth and shoots, no good. Cox rebounds, drops it. Vernon picks it up, shoots, no good. Johnny Cox has got it. Breaks out of there with it, up into front court, down the right side, pulls up, backs away, gives to Collinsworth. Collinsworth closely guarded by Bob Vernon now as Kentucky calls timeout with 48 seconds to play. It's the second timeout for Kentucky. The score, Kentucky 75, Duke 74, with 48 seconds to play, and Kentucky's ball when we go back to play. Now let's take 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky. The time in 30 seconds, 9:30.
Once again, this is Claude Sullivan from Memorial Coliseum, Lexington, Kentucky, where we have a wing-ding opening battle between Kentucky and Duke, and into the Blue Devil lineup is Bobby Joe Harris, 5'11" senior guard. Only 48 seconds to go. What will be the instructions here by Coach Adolph Rupp? Will he want his Wildcats to try to freeze with a 1-point lead and 48 seconds to go? Well, we have little time to wait to see. Kentucky has lost 2 starters, John Krigler and Adrian Smith, who have fouled out of the game. Kentucky is out and ready to go. An unusual situation developed a moment ago when Kentucky's 1-point lead was still 75-74. And Duke's Bucky Allen broke for the basket. A foul called against Vernon Hatton was disallowed by the other official who called it walking. And so Duke could possibly have lost 2 points by the changed decision. Ironically, that 2 points could be big. 1 point's the difference here as Abe Collinsworth is out of bounds with it. The players making sure now they've got defensive assignments straight. Duke's going to put the pressure on defensively. They got to have the ball. Bobby Joe Harris moves in to say something to Vernon Hatton as they break. The pass is in backcourt to Beck. Over to Vernon Hatton. The full court press is on. Harris moves in and fouls quickly on Vernon Hatton. And for Bobby Joe Harris, that's his first personal foul. But the bonus rule does not apply. With 45 seconds to go, Vernon Hatton will get only 1 shot. Tonight, Hatton has missed 2 out of 5. That is the 6th foul against Duke, which means that any more will carry a bonus shot. Hatton will be trying to give Kentucky a 2-point edge. There's a timeout by Kentucky, their 3rd one. All here in the last 2 minutes, 15 seconds of this ball game. Now the situation has developed. After 3 seconds of play, it'll leave 45 remaining. Kentucky, Vernon Hatton will shoot 1 free throw, and the bonus rule does not apply. With Kentucky on top 75-74, Duke will be getting possession of the ball possibly without a point or with a point being scored, but nonetheless have an opportunity to get back into it themselves, because now a foul committed by either team will carry the bonus shot. We have seen Vernon Hatton hit a layup that gave Kentucky its 75-74 lead after Duke took a 74-73 edge, the only advantage that they have had in the second half. Paul Schmidt checks back in for the Blue Devils. Duke went ahead 74-73 when Hatton hit his layup. 1 minute and 50 seconds remained to play when Hatton scored the field goal. Now, back to play. There will be more action Wednesday night at Columbus, Ohio. Over the same station, the broadcast start at 7:45 Wednesday night Eastern Time, Kentucky and Ohio State. Vernon Hatton is on the free throw line now for the try. Everything is important at this stage of a tight ball game, and here's Hatton's shot. Good. So the score is Kentucky 76, Duke 74. The Blue Devils have got the ball with 40 seconds to go. Up in front court is Bob Vernon. Down the left to Bucky Allen. Vernon Hatton backs away. Bucky Allen mows in. Backs away. Mows in again on the baseline. A walking infraction by Bucky Allen gives the ball out of bounds to Kentucky under the Duke basket. Vernon Hatton out of bounds. Passes into Ed Beck. Right back to Hatton. Duke picking up in backcourt. Hatton moves up to the dividing line. Bucky Harris moves in on him, and the foul on Harris of Duke is his second straight. And now the bonus shot will apply. That is the 7th personal foul on Duke in this half. And so Vernon Hatton steps at the free throw line once again. He's hit 4, missed 2. If he hits this one, he gets a bonus shot. There are now 21 seconds to play as Hatton stands in, pulls the right foot back, keeps him well spread, and here's the shot. Good. That gives Vernon Hatton 25 points as he stands in, shooting for number 26 on the bonus shot. Kentucky leads by 3. Hatton a chance to open her up to 4. Sights, two-handed free throw from between the knees. Good. Kentucky 78, Duke 74. As Hatton reels off 5 straight points. Up in front court, Harris breaks for the basket. Johnny Cox knocks it away. Phil Johnson of Kentucky scoops it up, pivots, passes up to Collinsworth. Fakes his way, gets up into front court now, and has it knocked away from him by Bucky Allen with 5 seconds to go. Over to Bob Vernon, behind his back beautifully to Harris, and Beck blocked the shot out of bounds. The ball game is over. Kentucky has used every inch it had in beating Duke by 4 points, 78-74.